Yeah, this is one you brought up here, the next PSA, the Hobbywing F7.
Yeah. So the only reason I'm bringing this up is 3 people, I'm not joking, have emailed me in the last 2 weeks to say, I have a Hobbywing. Pay attention. If you own a Hobbywing ESC and flight controller, you need to pay attention to this. If you don't, then we'll be done in a minute. I plugged them in, and then whenever I plug the flight controller in, the whole thing shuts down. And it turns out that what's happening is the flight controller and ESC come with 2 sets of wire harnesses, and one of them is straight through. And you'd think that's the one that you should use, but for some reason it isn't. And it puts the ground wire to the current sense wire. And for some reason that causes the whole thing to shut down. And I bear in mind, I don't have this flight controller and ESC. I am reconstructing facts from the 3 people who've emailed me in the last 2 weeks. And the first time it happened, the guy said, every time I plug in my flight controller, it shuts down. And I was like, well, you got to have damage somewhere. And he was like, actually, well, then he came back to me. He was like, oh, I just used the wrong cable. I was like, what the hell? And then like a week later, a guy emailed me and was like, hey, I got a Hobbywing flight controller, and every time I plug the flight controller in, it shuts down. And I was like, could it be your wire harness? And he thought I was like, what are the chances? And the third time it happened, I was like, well, clearly this is a thing and we need to cover it on the news.
Yeah, for sure.
They're lucky they're not frying their flight controllers. So normally you'd assume that the straight through wire was the right one.
And I think those are all black too, aren't they? Like all the wires are black on those?
I'm not sure.
I believe that, maybe not. But I know a couple companies send them with all black wires, so you can't, like, you need to spend the time to like pick through each one and make sure they're going to the right spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would think that you could assume that if they shipped the flight controller and the ESC with a wire, you could just plug it in and you'd be good to go. But apparently it comes with 2 wires, and I don't know what the second one is for. Maybe Hobbywing has 2 separate incompatible pinouts. And when they ship the ESC, they give you both wires depending on which flight controller you have. I don't know. But the bottom line is if you have it, that's what's happening and you should try the other wire. So